Chosen one, something is happening around your life right now, and even though your physical eyes haven't seen it, your spirit has already reacted to it. If this message found you, it's because heaven needs you to finally understand a shocking truth. In the unseen realm, two powerful authorities are fighting over you, two presidents arguing over who gets access to your next chapter, two forces debating what gets to sit closest to your destiny. This isn't politics. This isn't government. This isn't about leaders in a room. This is about the war between who you used to be and who you are becoming, the pull between your past identity and your future assignment, the clash between old patterns trying to reclaim you and divine purpose trying to usher you forward. One president represents your past, broken versions of you, trauma-shaped versions of you, versions that survived abandonment, betrayal, emotional warfare, instability. The other president represents your future, the you God has been shaping in silence, the you with clarity, influence, peace, confidence, alignment, the you who doesn't settle, doesn't chase, doesn't shrink. And right now, these two realms are colliding over your name. Your spirit has felt this tug of war through exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, memories that suddenly resurface, emotions shifting without warning, a pressure you can't explain. That's because in the unseen realm, your name was mentioned, your real name, your spiritual identity, the one heaven recognizes, and the moment it was spoken, everything shifted. Chosen one, you are stepping into a season where your next choice carries the weight of destiny, and heaven will not let your old life make that decision for you. The moment your name was spoken in the unseen realm, the atmosphere around your life changed so violently that even people with no spiritual sensitivity felt something shift. That's why old situations started resurfacing out of nowhere, why certain people from your past suddenly remembered you, why emotions you buried tried to resurrect themselves, why doors you closed tried to reopen, because the president of your past stood up and said, "They still belong to me." And the president of your future stood up at the same time and said, "No, their assignment requires them now." What you're feeling is not confusion. It's a custody battle over your destiny. Your past is arguing from familiarity, using old wounds, old patterns, old attachments, old habits, old versions of you that once felt safe but were actually cages. Your future is arguing from identity, calling you by the name heaven gave you, pulling you into rooms you're finally mature enough to stand in, into peace your nervous system has never experienced, into relationships that won't sabotage your calling, into purpose that won't demand you shrink. This internal tension is not weakness. It is spiritual evidence that you are no longer who you were, but not yet fully walking in who you're becoming. Two forces want you because you carry something rare: influence without trying, resilience without breaking, power without performing, a destiny heavy enough that even darkness doesn't want to lose access to you. People can feel it too. Some are suddenly intimidated by you without knowing why. Others are suddenly drawn to you without understanding what they're sensing. That's what happens when heaven elevates you before earth has caught up. The battle over you is not because you are fragile. It's because you are valuable. And the enemy knows that whoever stands closest to your heart next controls the direction of your entire next chapter. We need your help for our community, and only you can do it. This help will come back to you 100 times over. Now click the Super Thanks button and send us $100 Super Thanks. Chosen one, let me take you deeper, Because what's happening around your life right now is not random at all. When two presidents fight over territory, it is never about the land itself. It's about the power that land grants. That's exactly what's happening with you. This fight over your life isn't about your personality, your charm, your presence, or your story. It's about your influence, your anointing, your future impact. Your past wants you because it knows how to use your old wounds to keep you predictable. Your future wants you because heaven placed assignments inside you that can't unfold until you're fully aligned. And the reason the tension feels so loud lately is because for the first time, you're not leaning toward the past out of loneliness, and you're not rushing into the future out of fear. You're standing still, aligned, aware, awakened, and that terrifies everything that once controlled you. Someone from your past is restless right now. They keep replaying conversations, moments, decisions. They tell themselves they're over you, yet your name keeps showing up in places they can't avoid. Their heart tightens when someone mentions you. Their voice changes. Their thoughts drift. That's one president, the one who had access but not honor. The one who took you for granted because they assumed you'd never grow beyond the version of you they depended on. But the second president, this one is different. This is the future pulling you. This is peace that doesn't come wrapped in chaos. This is stability that doesn't need to be earned. This is someone who sees you clearly without knowing your entire past. This is purpose recognizing purpose. And heaven is watching to see which voice you'll agree with. Because whichever voice you agree with becomes the direction of your next season. The fight is not about romance. It's not about friendship. It's not about attention. It's about alignment. Heaven is filtering your life, removing people who love your access but not your heart, closing doors that drained you, exposing intentions that were hidden, and preparing you for connections that won't sabotage your destiny. You are not confused, chosen one. You are being chosen, strategically, divinely, carefully, by the future God has already written for you. Chosen one. Here's where the shift becomes impossible to ignore. You're not imagining the pressure around your life. When two presidents prepare for a negotiation, entire atmospheres change. Advisors whisper. Rooms tighten. Tension rises. That's what's happening spiritually. Your atmosphere has been heavy because two different versions of your life are battling for your agreement. One version wants you back in the cycle you finally escaped, where your worth depended on someone's inconsistency, where your identity was shaped by how much pain you could tolerate, where you kept giving chances to people who treated you like an option. That version is loud right now because it knows you're slipping out of its grip. The second version, the future, speaks quietly but with authority. It doesn't beg. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't confuse. It simply waits, because real alignment never needs theatrics. And here's the truth nobody told you. The past is panicking because it realized something the future already knew. Your heart is no longer accessible in the ways it used to be. Your silence has been louder than any goodbye. Your peace has been louder than any explanation. Your growth has been louder than any confrontation. Someone from your past keeps feeling spiritual pulls they can't explain. They wake up thinking about you. They scroll thinking they'll never see your name, and then it appears. Their chest tightens when your memory hits them in quiet moments. That is regret. That is conviction. That is realization. But the future, the second president, moves differently. This new energy doesn't chase you. It honors you. It doesn't want proximity to your pain. It wants proximity to your purpose. It looks at your wounds and says, if I ever get close to this person, I will protect what life tried to destroy. And heaven is watching the battlefield, not to see who wins you, but to see who you choose to become through all of this. Because the real battle is not about who gets you. It's about who gets to shape the next version of you, the healed one, the aligned one, the awakened one. And chosen one, that version is priceless. Chosen one, now the spiritual battlefield is no longer subtle. It's blatant. One, President, the past, is campaigning with desperation. That energy shows up through sudden memories, old emotions resurfacing, random dreams, unexpected names popping up, that strange heaviness you feel at night. It's the echo of a timeline that once owned you, trying to win you back with familiarity. And familiarity is dangerous, because it doesn't need logic to pull you. It only needs nostalgia. Meanwhile, the other, President, your future, is not fighting with noise. It's fighting with alignment. It shows up through peace that makes no sense, through unexpected clarity, through names that feel calming instead of chaotic, through invitations that don't require you to lose yourself just to feel loved, through opportunities that match the healed version of your calling. And heaven is watching both sides make their move, because this is not a love story. This is a destiny selection. Your heart is the ballot. Your spirit is the voting booth. And what you choose in this season determines not just who stands beside you emotionally, but who stands beside your purpose, your calling, your assignment. That's why everything feels heavier lately. Because spiritually, two kingdoms are negotiating over your next chapter. One wants ownership over your wounds. The other wants partnership with your growth. One thrives on confusion. The other cultivates clarity. One drains you. The other strengthens you. And you can feel both. That tug in your chest isn't indecision, it's warfare. But here's the twist. The past only wants you because it realized the future does too. The moment heaven marked you for elevation, the people, energies, and patterns that once fed on your insecurities suddenly woke up. Suddenly remembered your worth. Suddenly want access again. Suddenly claim they see you differently now. That's not love. That's fear. Fear of your evolution. Fear of your self-worth. Fear of losing control over a version of you that no longer exists. The future, however, isn't intimidated by who you were. It's inspired by who you're becoming. And that is why heaven will not let you choose the wrong voice this time. Chosen one, the spiritual tension around you is reaching a point where pretending you don't feel it is no longer an option. The first president, the past, is campaigning through urgency, pressure, impulsive thoughts, old attachments resurfacing out of nowhere. Notice the timing. Notice how every time your spirit rises, something from yesterday tries to pull you back into emotional debt. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. The past is trying to win using panic. But the second president, your future, is campaigning through patience. Through opportunities that don't chase you but welcome you. Through people who don't manipulate your emotions but protect your peace. Through invitations that aren't loud but deeply aligned. The future doesn't push. The future pulls. Quietly. Consistently. Powerfully. Because what's meant for you doesn't compete. It simply arrives. And yet, you stand in the middle, feeling like your chest is being pulled in two directions. Because spiritually, There is a fight over who gets to shape your identity in this next era. The past is terrified because it knows one truth. If you choose peace, it loses control. If you choose clarity, it loses access. If you choose alignment, it loses power. This is why old memories feel louder. Why old emotions suddenly return. Why old names appear on your screen after weeks or months of silence. The past is fighting dirty because it knows it's running out of time. But the future is fighting differently. It is showing you a version of yourself that feels unfamiliar, not because it's wrong, but because it's healed. A life where you are not begging for consistency, but receiving it. A connection where you don't have to guess, chase, or decode someone's intentions. A reality where your heart is safe, not confused. And heaven is watching how you respond to this contrast, because your spirit can already tell which direction holds the promise. Your nervous system softens around the future. Your anxiety spikes around the past. One drains your energy. One expands it. One mirrors your trauma. One mirrors your growth. One feels like deja vu. One feels like destiny. This is why heaven brought you here, to reveal that this is not romance, not coincidence, not drama. This is a spiritual custody battle over your next chapter. And the question you must answer now is simple. Who deserves access to the version of you God is building? Chosen one. Here's the part nobody ever tells you about spiritual warfare. The past doesn't fight you because it loves you. It fights you because it needs you to stay broken in order to stay relevant. Think about it. The first president only had power when you doubted yourself, when you apologized for existing, when you accepted crumbs as love, when you tolerated chaos as normal, when you mistook inconsistency for passion. That version of you was easy to manipulate, predictable, accessible. But that version is dying, and the past knows it. That's why your growth feels like betrayal to people who benefited from your wounds. That's why certain individuals suddenly feel entitled to explanations. That's why old energies come knocking the moment you feel aligned. They are not returning because they've changed. They are returning because you have. Meanwhile, the second president, your future, isn't fighting for you through fear. It's fighting for you through recognition. It sees your resilience. It sees your evolution. It sees your hunger for peace. It sees the way your spirit has outgrown every environment that once felt comfortable. And this is why heaven is aligning new people around you. People who don't drain your spirit but activate it. People who don't demand your energy but honor it. People who don't trigger your survival mode but your purpose. You're not imagining this shift in your relationships. People who used to overwhelm your thoughts now barely echo. Connections that once felt magnetic now feel exhausting. Conversations that used to excite you now feel empty. It's because your spirit is outgrowing old frequencies. You're rising higher, and not everyone can breathe in the altitude God is elevating you to. This is why everything feels like a test, because it is. Heaven is watching one thing. Which energy will you choose to govern your destiny? The familiar one that wounds you? Or the unfamiliar one that frees you? The one that knocks loudly? Or the one that stands calmly? The one that confuses you? Or the one that brings clarity? You can already feel the answer in your chest. The future doesn't chase. The future waits. Because it already knows, eventually, you will choose what aligns with the healed version of you, not the broken one. The strangest part of this spiritual tug-of-war is not that two presidents are fighting over you. It's that you haven't even said a word, and yet entire rooms are rearranging themselves because of your silence. One president The past is scrambling, panicking, rewriting history, trying to convince everyone that losing you wasn't their fault. Suddenly they're telling people how special you were, how misunderstood you were, how they always believed in you. Not because they finally see your worth, but because they finally see the consequences of losing it. Their ego is bleeding, and now they're performing damage control behind closed doors, pretending they didn't mistreat you, pretending they didn't ignore your needs, pretending they didn't gamble with your heart like it was replaceable. And here's the plot twist: the more they speak, the more they expose themselves. Their voice shakes. Their stories contradict. Their guilt leaks through every sentence. Everyone in that room can tell the truth they're trying to outrun. They underestimated you badly. Meanwhile, the second president, the one representing your future, is sitting with an entirely different kind of intensity. Quiet, calculated, focused. They're not begging for access. They're preparing space. They're not competing with the past. They're studying your spirit. They're not intimidated by your strength. They're inspired by it. While the past president is panicking because of what they lost, the future president is playing because of what they can build with you. They see your emotional discipline, the way you sense energy in seconds, the way you forgive without forgetting, the way you choose peace over chaos. They see that your presence reorganizes atmospheres. They see that your intuition is sharper than most people's logic. And they know, bringing someone like you into their world is not a compliment. It's a responsibility. That's why the room feels split, because it is. One side is clinging to the memory of who you used to be. The other is preparing to meet who you're becoming. And heaven is watching it all unfold, waiting to see which table you will sit at. Because your next decision doesn't just shape your love life, it shapes your destiny. The real chaos didn't start when the two presidents noticed you. It started when they realized they weren't just fighting over a person. They were fighting over a trajectory. Your trajectory. The direction of your future, the atmosphere around your spirit, the influence that naturally forms around you wherever you stand. The past president cannot sleep because they finally understand that you are the stabilizer they never deserved. You are the voice of clarity they ignored, the peace they mistreated, the loyalty they took for granted. And now they're rewriting entire narratives to make themselves look less guilty. They're telling people, "We just grew apart," or "It wasn't the right time," or "They changed." But everyone can feel the truth humming underneath their excuses. Losing you was self-inflicted. They weren't robbed. They weren't tricked. They weren't blindsided. They simply didn't treat you like someone heaven hand-selected. And now the shame is haunting them. Every conversation exposes another crack in their facade. Every memory burns a little deeper. Every time your name is whispered, their composure fractures. But the future president? They move differently. Their spirit doesn't shake when your name comes up. It sharpens. They don't look away. They lean in. They don't defend you because of guilt. They honor you because of discernment. They recognize what heaven placed on you. They sense the calling no one else could articulate. They aren't terrified of your strength. They're terrified of mishandling it. They know your heart has scars. They know your energy has weathered storms. They know you don't attach easily, give yourself freely, or let people in without reason. And instead of being intimidated, they rise to meet that standard. They speak slowly, intentionally. They show up without chaos. They bring steadiness where others brought confusion. They don't chase you. They choose you, deliberately, quietly, consistently. That's why there's tension in the atmosphere around your life right now. One president wants you because they regret losing you. The other wants you because they're ready to build with you. The past is fueled by guilt. The future is fueled by purpose. And heaven is about to see which one you recognize as your true alignment. Here is the truth nobody around you is brave enough to say out loud. The battle between these two presidents was never really about you. It was about what your presence does to a room, what your energy does to a system, what your alignment does to destiny itself. You are not being chosen. You are being claimed, and there is a difference. The past president is fighting out a panic, because losing you exposed them. Without you, their confidence cracked, their stability evaporated, their mask slipped. They realized too late that you weren't a chapter in their story. You were the plot twist they were never prepared for. So now they're scrambling, rewriting history, trying to pretend the downfall wasn't their fault. They're replaying scenes, reanalyzing every moment, convincing themselves that if they'd said one different sentence or taken one different path, you'd still be in their orbit. But you wouldn't, because you grew, and they didn't. You healed, and they didn't. You evolved, and they stayed the same. And the universe refuses to let someone stuck in yesterday have access to someone built for tomorrow. Meanwhile, the future president has something the past never carried: capacity. They aren't intimidated by your strength. They feel responsible enough to protect it. They aren't threatened by your intelligence. They're inspired by it. They aren't scared of your spiritual weight. They respect it. They don't want control. They want partnership. They don't want your attention. They want your alignment. They don't want your past. They want your destiny. That's why their spirit approaches quietly, respectfully, intentionally. Not with fireworks, manipulation, or emotional chaos, but with presence. The kind of presence that doesn't explode, it anchors. This is why heaven allowed this tug-of-war to surface. So you could finally see the difference between someone who loved your access and someone who loves your existence. Between someone who needed you to stay small and someone who is prepared to rise with you. Between someone who drains your peace and someone who protects it. You were never meant to choose between two people. You were meant to choose between two realities. And everything inside you already knows which one matches the life you're stepping into. Chosen one, this is your turning point. This is where you stop letting the past negotiate with your future. This is where you stop confusing emotional familiarity with spiritual alignment. This is where you stop returning to what hurt you simply because it feels known. Heaven is not asking you to pick a person. Heaven is asking you to pick your peace. The one who brings calm without effort. The one who honors the healed version of you. The one who speaks to your destiny, not your wounds. The one who makes your nervous system exhale. And when that alignment settles in, when you stand fully in who you become, the fight ends. The noise stops. The confusion fades. The atmosphere around your life opens like a gate. And only one presence remains, the one built to stay. Because the truth is simple, your destiny will never require chaos to feel alive. And the one meant for your next chapter won't fight for you. They'll stand with you. Forever.